Okay, welcome to Upward Masters, Brother Huang, Hualien Dharma team, and brothers and sisters around the globe to Saturday Hualien Dharma Talk. A very good morning. Let us start the session for today. Recently, disasters have happened so rampantly one after another due to the great imbalance of four elements. Now with COVID-19 virus pandemic around the world, Masters have great concern and earnestly urge everyone to repent and adopt vegetarian meal. Going vegetarian is a way to express our sincere piety, to pray for peace and a world free of disasters. It is the purest way of love for all living beings. Now let us send our sincere prayers into the 10 directions. May the Sahara land be free from disaster and peace prevails in the world. Let us sing the prayer song with sincere piousness.
In my heart, I feel deep gratefulness. All my heart is filled with sincere prayer. From all corners of the world, let us join our hearts and pray for a world of harmony and peace. From my heart, I pray. May we join our hands, our hearts as one. Spread the seeds of great love, nurture wisdom evermore. Let us fill the world with hope. In my heart, I feel deep gratefulness. May all the Buddhas know my prayer. All united with one heart, let us end our hate with love. May there be no suffering hereafter.
May all minds be purified. May there be peace in the community. May there be no disaster in this world. Let us recite the universal love and blessing. With loving respect, gratitude, and confidence, let us wish every person in our lives a healthy body, an enlightened mind, and a total fulfillment in universal love. Now let us expand this consciousness to include every person in the world, every being in the universe. Let our unified love make this wonderful world even better. Let us all immerse ourselves in the joyful embrace of universal love. 感恩。Before we listen to the wonderful sharings, let us invite our Buddha Masters to lead us in paying homage to Triple Gems. Let us pay our respects for these teachings and explanations to the Buddha and Master Cheng Yen by making 3 sincere vows. Please rise, palms together. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. And a bow to our beloved Abode Masters who could join us today. Okay, today we have Brother Huang who will be sharing with us on Dharma Talk, and followed by Brother Dr. Liao, who will be sharing on the health and interfaith reflection on COP26. Okay, before that, let us invite Sister Su Ching to share with us on previous weeks, the weekly summary. Sister Su Ching, over to you. And
Thank you so much, Sister Lily. Good morning, everyone. Okay, here we are. So last week, on the 4th of December, we had 4 angels from Klang. And here I go. 4 good friends shared their individual adventures into Tzu Chi. They recounted their experiences and recalled their journey of happy affinity. Sister Sao Hun, Sister Annie Heng, Sister Wai Ping, and Sister Annie Lee all took the brave steps to undertake the path to commissioning with certainty. There are stories of initial doubt, both from themselves and from their families, and the beginning hesitation that is common of the Tzu Chi community. That melted away when they got more and more involved into each project that resonated with them. Slowly but surely, each and every one of them knew they had stepped into an organizational gem. The Tzu Chi way is to help others. That is so true. But in doing so, we are actually helping to change the most important person, and that is you. The friendship forged along the way was a happy bonus to be amongst like-minded individuals with caring love and gentleness as established commonality. From recycling to Tima events to home visits and so much more, Tzu Chi has given these 4 angels an immersion into what life is worth living for. We listened and are in awe of the camaraderie the 4 friends have made. We anxiously await more sharing of beautiful stories that the 4 sisters will in the future create. And then we had Sister Phoebe, who is currently in Australia in Zhejiang. Sister Phoebe spoke about giving and leaving a legacy and gave us a peep of what she has done so selflessly. She has been a bone marrow donor before. That is so remarkable for a young person. Just to make the world a better place was her prime reason. If that can change her life, what else can she do? Her latest sharing shared many amazing clues. She does not order takeaway meals because packaging that is wasted. If she doesn't bring a container, she will delay her consumption or the food will just not be tasted. She brings her own bags. She is vegetarian too. These are some of the many things, just to name a few. Her motive is simple. She is concerned enough to act with all seriousness. Her vow is sincere. It is not just lip service like the majority of us. Sister Phoebe is a person who not just talk but do. There should be more people like her. Then there must be a tangible change when we collectively move to the world for the better. And that is it from me this morning. I will pass over to Sister Su Ching.
Sister Su Ching and Sister Lily for the wonderful sharings. Okay, we have Brother Joe, first, over to you, Brother Joe. All of us are anticipating. Looking forward to Brother Joe sharing. And everyone for waking up and staying on with us.
Okay. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Sorry, apologize for being late, and but it's been a while. It's been a while since I had to use English for our morning session. I've been continuing the Chinese session on the other platforms, but thanks to Sis Su Ching and also Master Huang and others, we've been able to, and also Brother David, we've been able to have many different sharings and also sharers to come onto this platform and advance and be diligent together. So it's also something that I'm very happy about, because looking back to 6 years ago, who would have thought that this would be something that would prosper and also grow into where it is today. We have different teams doing different projects, whether it's translation or whether it's diligence studies or study groups, or we're doing different outreach, we're doing different groups, and we're forming different groups to take on different projects. I think this is exactly what this emergence is all about. It's coming from our dedication. It's coming from our mind, our wish that we could spread this Dharma. So today I put together a certain Dharma talk together. From Master in these couple of days, in the past couple of days, especially towards the end. Now, as you probably all know, that Master came back, finished her tour, the first tour, which is reaching half of Taiwan, but the northern half, okay, the north and the central. So it's more than half, okay. In terms of population, it's about maybe 2/3 already. And maybe even more, okay, maybe 3/5 and of Taiwan. And the total trip itself was 35 days. In comparison, the next trip that we're gonna embark on, the next tour, will begin on December 21st, which is about 10 days later, okay? Less than 10 days now, if you're talking about the days here in Hualien. So it's less than 10 days now, because 21st would be the day that we are leaving. So if you count today, it's exactly 10 days. And then on the 11th day, we're leaving, okay? We're departing. So there's very little time. And in the past, there have been very few chances where this is the case, where you would have less than 1 month separating the first tour and the second tour. Okay, so as you can tell, the time is shrinking. So what would it be? What do you mean by that, Brother Joe? Well, the time between the two tours, but people would ask me, well, you could just start earlier, or you could start later on the second tour. You could start earlier or end earlier on the first tour. Yeah, that sounds great. But the problem is that due to all the arrangements of the time and the calendar, and due to all the arrangements of all the things that happen, and also 35 days is indeed more than previous other experiences and other tours. But in comparison, the second tour would only be 21 days. Okay, so you could imagine that if we had done a little bit of a slightly shifting, maybe a part of the first tour to the second tour, it might be okay. However, it doesn't always work. It's not always like, oh, you just shift these days here and shift those days there, and then it would be done. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. And but in any event, we just finished the 35 days, and looking at Master, Master is doing wonderful, but tired. You could tell that she's tired. But when we came back on December the 6th, okay, that's the day that we reached Hualien at 5 p.m., which is a wonderful, wonderful time, leaving enough time for everybody to be prepared for the night, and not too late. There was one time when we came home at 7 p.m. So if you can imagine, it was hectic. But we're home at around 5 p.m. And guess what Master said on the very next morning? The morning of the 7th, December 7th, Master was up around and walking around, taking her trek around, her usual exercise or her usual trek around the garden. And the first thing she said to the people following her was, how boring. Because I guess the idea was that Master was already very accustomed to a very, very busy schedule. Too busy, perhaps. Now you could imagine that if we didn't have the schedule as tight or as busy as we had it, you could imagine that Master would probably be saying, why are you wasting my life? And trust me, this is a very important thing. I remember once Master said to me, if I don't put the schedules tightly or plan them carefully and mindfully, then it would be the same as wasting, not putting Master's life and not putting Master's wisdom life to the best use. And that would be akin to waste of her life. And this is something that we think is very serious, and we have to be very careful and mindful of all this. Anyway, so we all see the on YouTube, we all see online how everything happened in the past 35 days. So let us go through some of the things that I thought from a particular Dharma talk for a particular day. I think it was December the 3rd. So it was towards the end, and you can imagine that Master was visibly tired. But what she did that day was very, very different. Let me show you. Okay, so I'm not going to show you the pictures or the photos, but I'm going to show you this. Okay, so direction. Why direction? Okay, so this is the picture that we've seen many, many, many times. And we all know that this took place during the reconstruction, the building of schools after the 921 earthquake that happened more than 20 years ago. And Master was pointing somewhere, okay, direction. And it has always been used in many, many posters, and also used in many, many demonstrations and illustrations to show direction. Now, why? Before I go into the Dharma talk content, let me put this into perspective. So for every event, usually what happens is Master will be in the greeting room, or the room where Master would sit there. And this is the place where you see most often. Master would be there and then talking to people who are seated, maybe about 2 meters away from her. And it's about a room in Taipei. It's about a room of maybe 100, 150 or 200 people if you really packed everybody. Okay, so that's the room where Master greets, whether it's Tzu volunteers or her disciples or guests. Okay, and she would, when everything is done, Master would stand up and walk into her the chambers where she could rest, or she could take a little bit of dessert to replenish. That's the entire thing. So it's on the same floor. It's very close. That is also the place where Master would rest for the day. Okay, so it's very close. It's almost like you are working, in the same place as where you're sleeping. Okay, that's to put it lightly. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, so for every day, when Master had to walk to dining hall, okay, it's about 40 meters, 40 to 50 meters away. And it's not a long walk, it's a short walk, 40 meters roughly, and 40 or 50, and she gets there. So this is her location, right? If you listen to Sister Brenda talk, you know that there are 3 places in here at the abode. Well, if you're talking about in Taipei, then it's also these 3 places, right? Where she sits down, talk to people, where she sleeps or she rests, and also where she eats, right? But then there's one more place, and that's where for every ceremony, that's where she had to be. She had to walk down the steps, okay, in Taipei, walk down the steps, and then walk up the steps to the platform, and to greet everybody. Okay, so this is what she says, and I think it's something that gives you a very, very different perspective. So for every time in Taipei, for more than 20 ceremonies, I think the exact number was 21. And originally, due to COVID-19, it was going to be 31. But we had to shrink that number. We had to combine the ceremonies because there were just way too many, more than what we think Master could handle. We didn't want her leg strengths to give out. We didn't want her legs to give away because there were just too many times she had to walk down the steps. But this is what she said. As I walked down the steps, the very long steps that she walked down, okay, I was also testing my leg strengths. And I can clearly feel the difference from before. And I believe Master was talking about the difference from before. She remember from the first year, from the second year. If you remember, there were years, it was not 5 years ago that Master was still walking up the stairs. And then we see that video footage where while Master was walking up, she veered away, right? She veered away and almost run into a person, one of the sisters sitting on the side, okay? That was walking up. Requires even more strength. But now, she can clearly feel the difference from before, the difference of walking down, okay? This is very, very truthful and very hurtful to us to know that while Master was walking down, she could test the leg strengths. And by the time it was December 3rd, it was already towards the end of all the ceremonies that she had to go through. Okay, but she was talking to us about this. Okay, and so she could feel that. And so one step at a time, as I walked down, I wanted to see everybody. And if you go back to the past footage, and if you watch carefully, while Master walks down, she likes to feel the atmosphere. And also not just the atmosphere, but she likes to feel that crowd, people. And this is something that I wanted to clarify for everybody. There were different pathways that you could take to reach where you want to be. You could go from the 4th floor and walk down to the 3rd floor. That's in Taipei. Or you could go from the 3rd floor, which is exactly where the meeting room was exactly where the dining room was, and that's exactly the same floor as Master's dormitory, okay? Same floor on the 3rd floor, that's where everything is. And Master could just go directly from the 3rd floor. There's another entrance, a side entrance. Now we had planned for Master to walk from the side entrance, not for the rear entrance, okay? From up top, because you could skip all the steps. You could just go directly on the 3rd floor. But Master many times had always decline. And not just because it's a side entrance, but more importantly, Master wanted to be with people. She wanted to feel close to people. It's almost if, okay? I don't know if this is true, but almost if she walked among the people, she could feel how everybody was thinking. She could feel how we feel. It's the same as when we are taking the traffic route. You know, if you do Google Map and you're thinking from one place to the other, Master had once told me, because we're planning out the routes, and usually if we don't leave enough time for travel, and this is, you know, it's actually common knowledge that if you are going from one city to the other city, you go on the highway, and that's what I would do, and that's what many of you would do. Especially for a country that's as big as Malaysia, you probably would take the national highways, because that's what they're for, right? Speedy travel. But for Master, once Master told me that if there is time, and imagine, is there time? There's never really any time. But Master said, if there is time, she wanted to take the local route. And I had once asked, why? We need time. We don't have time. And we want to get there as soon as we can. The Master says, because I wanted to go among the people. And it's not just a phrase that you say, but then Master explained further. Master said, I wanted to see the shops. I wanted to stop at the red light, looking at the people walk by. I wanted to see the people on the motorbikes while they're waiting for the red light. I wanted to see the families that are in the car while they're driving by. So Master does not rest or sleep in the car while we're going from one place to the other. Even if the trip is 2 or 3 hours, she continues to stay awake, or as awake as possibly can. And she looks around. But if it's on the highway, she can't see any of that, right? Master can't see any of the people. So that's what she does. Anyway, so let's just put you in perspective. Why over here it says Master wanted to see everyone, okay? But now Master can't, because Master needed to pay extra attention to every step. Because if Master didn't pay attention, the step would stray. Now, it's not exactly like stray. What Master meant to say was, because her eyesight is also deteriorating. And that's probably the one thing that deteriorates more than anything. Not just her leg strength. She could still walk and function, that's fine. But the eyesight. So it's very sensitive to light. And there are just some issues with the sight. So one of the things that's very important is depth perception. Like you have to be able to feel the 3D aspect of the steps. How deep and where is the level? Where is the level and where is the incline, the decline? Okay, so going up the steps is less dangerous because if you fall here. But going down the steps is extra dangerous because if you misstep, then you roll down. So even though there are people, there are two masters of the abode on her side, holding her and supporting Master. But it's very important that every step that Master would touch, make sure that she could feel the depths. Okay, so that's why every time she walked down, I will be watching very carefully, making sure, almost holding my breath, because every time, every step, you could tell that Master was very careful, very mindful, and very nervous. You could tell. Okay, so she wanted to feel the people. She wanted to feel how everybody, it's almost like she could listen to our hearts and minds while she walked by us. But now she can't because Master needs to pay extra attention to every footstep that she took. Okay, because if you didn't, then it's very possible that you could, step too deep or not deep enough, and there could be things happen. So that's what she did. Okay, because if you didn't pay attention, that something would happen. Okay. And therefore, Master continued, right? That she gave us this Dharma talk that so we should be mindful every day, making sure we don't make mistakes or speak wrongly. So Master uses this, taking one step at a time, to be analogous to how we have to be careful every day. This is what I meant, and we're going to go into this a little bit more. Everything that we do could be taken into the context of Dharma. Everything that we do, even every step that we take, and everything that we are thinking about can be in the context of Dharma. Just depends on how we use it. So Master is using this, taking one step at a time, very carefully, to compare to how mindful we should be to say the right words, to do the right things. Even if it's a very simple action, like taking a step. That's what Master does. So Master wanted to make a point in this, you have to be mindful every moment. So in order for that to be very to stick to our minds and memory, Master used another story that is very close to her. And so that maybe we would remember, and maybe we would learn that when we take each step, even though we don't think much of it, but we should be mindful and think much of it. We're not thinking about taking a step because there isn't a problem. Maybe sometimes for us, when we're in a rush, we would jump down the steps, right? Guys would do this. Maybe not so much our sisters, but brothers, we do this, right? When we're rushing up and down the steps, we take 2 or 3 steps at a time. Especially coming down, it's even faster, right? You jump, you skip. Master says, perhaps we should be mindful. Instead of 2 or 3 steps at a time, 1 step at a time. And also be mindful, making sure we don't make mistakes or speak wrongly, okay? So once again, direction. This is something that Master is combining the teachings and Master is very clear and very direct on this. Master said another day on a different appearance, as I walk down the steps, so once again, this gives her so much thing to talk about. Why? Because every step takes a long time, okay? As I walk down the steps, 1 step at a time, it took me about 1.5 seconds for each step. Master was counting, okay? Because there was so much time, Master was counting. 1.5, okay, 1.5, okay. So she even explained why it took that long. For each step I take, I need to be careful and pay extra attention to where my foot lands. Okay, so you take 1 step ahead and then make sure you land it. That's where you have to put the other foot, you have to withdraw the other foot and put them together. And then you do it 1 more time. Okay, so that's why it took a long time, 1.5 seconds for every step. And it's something that that we probably don't know or don't think much about, right? How many of you take 1.5 second steps? Not many of you, unless you have to, unless you couldn't go faster, right? So that's what Master did, and she was also thinking about this, contemplating on this. And then Master said, instead of talking about the steps, she talks about the time. We need to be mindful of time, not just mindful of numbers. So this is something that I also picked up that I think is very essential, in that Master is telling you the importance is not 1.5, 1.5. The importance is seconds. Okay, so we need to be mindful of time, not just mindful of the 1.5, which is the number, right? 1.5 seconds, but time. Time is the most important, relevant number in our lives, as our lives and our breaths happen within seconds. Okay, so this is something that I learned and I picked up from Master's speeches about the phantom city. Okay, and I shared this, I think, last week to the Chinese group. Phantom city, as we all know, is one of the chapters in the Lotus Sutra. And Master has said to us that we're all in the phantom city. We're all in the journey within the phantom city. But for the ordinary beings, their objective is the phantom city. However, we should know better. And our objective is the treasure city, or it's the treasure, it's the ultimate stop. It's the ultimate goal. What that tells us, or what that tells me, is that we are so often mixed the intermittent or the stops, the rest stops with the end goal, right? What does that mean? It means that for us, if we're driving on the highway, and you are, what do? You take a rest stop. You pull over, and there might be a scenic rest where there's a restroom. There may be some convenience store. Maybe there's some restaurants. And then there may be some scenes where some scenic tours where you can stop your car and you look up and then you see the mountains, and it's very beautiful. We have a lot of that in Taiwan here. Would you live there? Would you then say to yourself, this is a very good place. Let me stay here for the night. And then you go into the car and you sleep there. And then you wake up the next day and you're still here. You go to the restaurant, you use the restroom, and then you live there. You probably think this is outrageous. Exactly. So for us, now that we understand, now that we have someone leading us, we know that that's not what it should be. This is a rest stop. Our objective is our home or wherever we're going to, not this place. However, for the ordinary beings, for the people that are afflicted, they think that that's their home and they're happy to stay at the rest stop. So the very important thing is, do we know where our objective is and where the phantom city is? Are we setting our objective to be the phantom city? Or do we really think, no, do we really know the difference? Okay, so this particular sentence here, this particular part where we need to be mindful of time, but not the number, it's the time. So 1.5 seconds is important, but let's not focus on 1.5 seconds. It could be 3 seconds, but the most important is time. That's why the number is important. It's what we live in, but time is even more important, okay? Okay, it goes into the next topic. It takes people to spread the Dharma as the Dharma can spread itself. I think we are very clear on that, right? So once again, going back to the idea of the phantom city, if you believe that the phantom city is the Dharma itself, right? You need the people to spread them. But it's more important, it's the phantom city itself. The phantom city itself isn't the end objective or the end goal. It takes people to spread this. Okay, well, let me be more precise. Master says, in our current day, it is easy to listen to Dharma. And even if I can't listen to it now, Master is talking now, and I can't listen to it now, I can record it and listen to it again when I'm home. And this is actually happening right now, right? This is happening many times. Master might be talking in different places, and if we're not there, it's okay. We'll wait for it. We'll wait for it until it comes out. And it's true, right? And we don't follow all the online schedules because we have our schedules. We have our own schedule. And so we don't follow step by step. And even if I am there, I don't follow step by step because there are times when I have to take off to do other things that I need to do. So this is very true, right? And Master says, this shows a lacking in the respect for Dharma, lack of respect for Dharma. Maybe it has happened to all of us before, Dharma on the one hand, Master is giving Dharma talk, while others are minding their own business. and they're not really listening to Dharma. Okay, and that's true. This is very true, right? Master is talking on the one hand, and then our staff, maybe we're listening while doing something else. Maybe we're just doing something else altogether and not listening because we think that we can listen to it later. This is true. This is very true, okay? We are relaxed in doing what we're doing, but we're not truly listening to the Dharma ourselves. This is a separation of Dharma and body. Okay, there's a Dhammakaya, right? The Dharma and the body. This is disrespectful to Dharma. This shows no substantial mindfulness to Dharma. So this is something that I'm thinking to myself. I am contemplating on my own. What does that mean to show respect to the Dharma, right? What does that mean that there is a separation of Dharma and the body? This is something that I began to wonder to myself. Am I showing disrespect to Dharma? Am I showing disrespect to Master? Okay, so even if the Dharma itself is wonderful and wondrous, for the Dharma to be in our hearts and minds, it's very, very difficult. So even if you are sitting there, right? Even if you're sitting there listening, are you truly showing respect? If you're not paying attention, or if you're falling asleep, and that happens to all of us, right? What does that mean, right? Even if you're there listening, even if you're sitting there, even if you're watching carefully, did you remember all the words? No. So it's very difficult for the Dharma to be in our minds and hearts. Master continued, even if you preach Dharma very well, or you organize and work very efficiently, after everything had happened, you're still yourself, and Dharma is still Dharma. And this is most unfortunate. Oh my goodness. This is talking about every one of us, right? And we have to be alarmed because Master is directly pointing to all of us. You know, you might think you're doing something very well. You might think that you're doing something that's very important. But after everything is done, you're still yourself and Dharma is still Dharma. There is no merging of the two, right? This goes back to Dharma self, Dhammakaya, the Dharma body, right? Is the Dharma merged with you? Are you part of the Dharma? Is Dharma part of you or not? This is unfortunate. And so why am I sharing all these three things, these three parts of the Dharma talk today? When we are walking, is the Dharma within us? After we walk, is the Dharma still there? Okay, so let me put it again. When Master is walking down the steps, Master has to be very careful in taking the steps. It takes 1.5 seconds for each step. So Master has to be very careful. And this would happen to all of you if we're at that age, or if we had surgery done, or if we can't move around very freely. At that moment, you are very careful. At that moment, you are doing what you need to do, which is pay extra attention. But when you reach the flats, when you reach where you need to be, there are no more steps. Are you still paying attention to the step that you take? Or you are no longer paying attention to the step that you're taking? Are you still yourself? Dharma is still Dharma. Then that would be very unfortunate. I think this is what Master is talking to us, that the numbers itself is not important, but it's important when it's attached to the time. Whether it's 1.5 or 1,500, the time is important. 1.5 and 1,500 is just a phantom city, but your true city of the treasure, or the treasure city, is time. Same thing. Walking, taking extra attention to every step. That's the phantom city. paying attention to every step. That's phantom city because it comes and goes. You're not taking steps every day. It comes and goes. But being mindful, and not just about the step, being mindful of the people around you, knowing why you're walking the steps, that is the key. Do you know why you're walking? Do you know why? Is the Dharma and you separated when this is over? When you're preaching, when you're sharing, when I am sharing right now, the things that I'm sharing right now, after I'm done sharing, is it over? And now I am myself, and Dharma is still Dharma. Okay. Master says, all of you love me, respect me, and show your respect for me. And therefore, love and respect my teaching and mindfully put the Dharma into action. I believe this to be the most sincere offering. So talks about respect and talks about love. If you remember, when you shout out, and Master talks about this many times, when you shout out, Master, I love you. What does Master say? Master said, love those that I love, right? Excuse me. So Master says, love those that I love. And that's actually a translation, right? Translation for from Chinese. But actually what Master says is, 爱我所爱. And that could be very broadly translated into, the people, right? It's not just Buddhist, but all. It's not just Chinese, it's all, right? But it's also something that's maybe not just people, right? It could be all living forms. And then it could also mean non-living forms, meaning the earth, nature, and it could be something that does not have a physical form. For example, like Dharma, right? If you love me, then love what I love, which is Dharma. And so be mindful, okay? And that's the most sincere offering. So today, the sharing today, very much focused on contemplating. I'm also asking myself this, after this, where is the thing that I just said go to? Did it stay within my mind? After we listen to the Dharma, did it stay within our mind? After we walk down the steps, and we're very careful with every step, what do? Is it still in my mind? And what is still in my mind? I think Master doesn't want us to always be walking the steps, right? You're driving, and then you're not driving. I'm sure Master doesn't want you to say, oh, keep driving in your mind. No, you're not driving anymore. But what is the phantom city? And what is the ultimate goal? We have to be very careful. And I think going back to the final topic, the final point is that it takes people to spread the Dharma, as the Dharma cannot spread itself. So once again, what was I gonna say? Let me organize this. This energy is really getting to my head. Okay, so I'm sure you'll come to me later. Okay, so I apologize. Okay, so what I want to say today is that is more important that we know, even though we're in the world where there is many things happening, where there is many things that need our attention. That's the phantom city. But do we know that we are in the phantom city? And do we know that our objective and our goal in our lives is not a phantom city, and it's a true treasure city? Do we know? Oh, okay, I got it now. Okay, do we know? And the answer is, we might know and we might not know. But we don't know if what we know is true. At this moment, what are we going to do? We can do something. What is it? We need a guide. We need a teacher to tell us, this is the phantom city. That is not. And if you trust this teacher, then you will know what is a phantom city and what is not a phantom city. That's why I believe that the fable, the Huachen Yupin, okay, or the parable of the phantom city, this particular chapter in the Lotus Sutra, I think the most important part about this chapter is not phantom city, is not the treasure city. I think the most important is the guide, is the teacher. Because it takes people to spread the Dharma, not the Dharma to spread itself. It takes the guide to show you the phantom city. The phantom city itself can show, nor can it hold on to people. You need the guide, you need the teacher. So I think out of all this, out of all the taking one step, 1.5 seconds, and all the story that I just mentioned to all of you, the most important part has always been the people, has always been the teacher, has always been the student. So think about that clearly and always asking yourself, do you know what is the phantom part? Do you know what is the real part? Do you know what you're aiming for? And if you don't know what you're aiming for is phantom or real, then look no further than where your teacher is. Look no further than where your guide is. This is where we beat out on many people, because we have a teacher, we have a master that lead and guide us. So when we are lost, when we are not sure, we can always look to this teacher and we will know where we need to be. That is the most important part. So that parable, the most important part is the guide, The guide will show us the phantom city when we need to. The guide and teacher will show us where the ultimate goal needs to be when we need to. The guide will tell us that we need to contemplate and be respectful and tell us the things that we need to do because now we're lacking. That's what the guide does, helping us to not veer off, helping us to not be astray, helping us to be on the right path. So coming back to all of this, we are grateful for our teacher. We had to cherish. And once again, let there not be, and I had to do this to myself too, let there not be a separation of the Dharma and the body. Let there not be a separation of the teacher and the student. Let's hope that the Dharma can be within our hearts. Thank you. So that's my sharing for today. And I apologize. Sometimes it goes a little bit off tangent. Sometimes it goes, but I'm truly happy to take a little bit part of it as I was, contemplating yesterday. I put some of these parts together and just to do this sharing. And now let me welcome Dr. Liao from the US. Dr. Liao, we actually know each other from years ago when we were doing translation for TIMA. And I actually didn't know Dr. Liao from when I was in US, but now I know him better than when I was in US. And then we were able to go on to several different international relief together. And just a couple of days ago, I know that Dr. Liao had just returned from COP26. And so we had a chance to be online and listen to all the representatives from the US and also from Germany, from different countries, from England, from London, where they had participated. And Dr. Liao was one of them. So today we're very happy that we get the first-hand sharing from Dr. Liao about COP26 and all his experiences engaging in this very meaningful event. Dr. Liao, thank you for joining us, and we're very happy. And I see that this is your home, and it should be around.
Thank you, Brother Joe. Can you hear? Yeah. Actually, it's not that great. Can you all hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
上人常住师父 masters, brothers and sisters, this is a good evening or good afternoon in New York, but I'm sure it's morning and whatever time Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's much clearer now.
Okay.
Please continue, Dr. Liao.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure to hear Brother Joe. Pleasure means Pleasure, but it's a great pressure, Pressure, to speak after Brother Joe because he speaks with such wisdom and depth. I know Brother Joe way over 20 years when we met each other in the TIMA back in Taiwan. We should recap on that one. To me, this is my first venture to the COP26. COP means Conference of Pledge Parties. This is 2026, so it's been in 26 years. I learned a lot from this COP26 on climate weather change, but also I had great reflections, especially from the health and interfaith reflections. So my topic for today, if I can share the screen, is the health and interfaith reflections on COP26. May I share the screen now? Thank you.
Yes, please, Dr. Liao. Brother, you can.
Can you hear me?
Yes, very clear.
This is a newspaper report from New York Times saying that the time is now and the action starts here. Like Master say, time is the most relevant number in our lives. So I basically joined because of the limited participation for NGOs and observers. So I basically joined the second week of COP. So as an NGO, and because of political and logistical reason, so Sis Ji can only join as an observer, not a participant. This is the first time ever since the pandemic outbreak that there's such a big gathering because there are over 30
Dr. Liao, I think there is some internet instability. I think Dr. Liao might have dropped off the internet. Hang on. Okay, Dr. Liao, you're back on again.
Thank you. Sorry, because of the weather here, so the reception here is at best very poor. So as you can see, this is letters from everywhere around the world at the action zone, which I'll explain that later. This is the billboard sign from the Glasgow train station. Let's do net zero, meaning there shouldn't be zero by 2023. As we know, as I just mentioned, there are over 36 participants during the convention. So the COVID test is very important. Every day we have to do the COVID test before we are allowed to enter into the convention center. This is the negative test that you have to send in before you're allowed. And at the second day of the attendance, you have to do a PCR test. All these are given free to all the participants. And the United Kingdom, the health system definitely did a very good job. As a health profession, my second week at the COP, I spent most of the time at the COP26 WHO, which is the World Health Organization, the Health Pavilion. So I'm going to start off by giving the first half an hour on mostly health related. Then I'm going to talk into interfaith reflections. And then I'm going to showcase some of the what I hear, what I see. And then we have Tiffany and Ashley, who are the two young members of the group that did some blog. And I'm going to also my after trip to Edinburgh Sister Linan is on the conference now. This is a global conference on health and climate change. Until COP26, we didn't think of health crisis is climate crisis. But at this convention, the emphasis and the whole agenda revolves around why climate crisis is also a health crisis. So this is the first seminar that I attended at the convention. As you can see, from day 1 to day 12 or 14, the WHO Health Pavilion, which is one of the largest pavilion at COP6, they have a full day schedule. So I attended most of the what I think to be related to our health system, both in US, in Taiwan, and see what I can bring back and learn from each other. As you can see, this is a very well represented participants from around the world. We have the Eastern African Farmers Federation, we have the carbon farmers, we have the global leader, we have the WWF, Worldwide Foundation, UN Food System, and of course the FAO, all these major organizations from UN that took part in this, what seems to be the most important seminar in this century. You can see the high-level climate action champion from COP26. Of course, last year, because of the COVID, there was not any COP26 meeting. This is also one of the untapped potentials of national health institution. By the way, the whole seminar and the 14 days revolve around the health-related items that are all pertinent to our daily life. Why climate change has such a mass effect on our health
It looks like Dr. Liao is it just me, or is everybody also not seeing?
Yeah, Brother Joe, we are not seeing Brother Liao. I'm trying to call Brother Liao using line.
Right. I think if you're calling Dr. Liao via the internet, I think it would be the same problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would be the
Lost
same
him.
problem.
Yeah. Brother Joe, maybe Brother Joe can.
Yeah. So
for time being,
I wonder if Dr. Liao is back online, but as I have, I'm sure some of you might have a chance to participate before, but in this particular time, because of the COVID-19, and I heard from Dr. Liao that they had to do tests every day. I think for us also, Master actually didn't want too many of our the representatives from Taiwan. So we did have Tiffany, and we did have Dr. Lin, the Deputy Superintendent of Dalian Hospital, going also. Oh, okay, Dr. Liao, you're back online. All right, let's hope we have you for longer.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Thank you. Yes, we can.
Sorry for the inclement weather in New York. So the next one, which is one of the most important groundbreaking seminar, is Act Now for Climate and Health. And as you can see, the global temperature has already risen by 1 degree. So our target back in the Paris Agreement is to keep it at 1.5 degrees C, and we only have a few years left. So this is a very optimistic target, but this is what is the most eye-catching slide that came out. As you can see, more than 500 organizations representing over 46 million doctors, nurses, and health workers worldwide have signed in an open letter calling for the world leaders to deliver on climate action. And that's a very powerful pledge from all health professions around the world. And as we see, we have the Maria Neri. I'm going to go very fast because I'm a few minutes behind. Climate Change and Health, WHO. This is, of course, I can't pronounce even his name. He's now the director of the World Health Organization. And then we have on the right, the Assistant Health Secretary from US, and to the right, that's the Minister of Health from Fiji. So we have ministers of health from Europe. And then also we have very interesting, a lot of youth climate activists. So Juliet Martinez is one of the very well-spoken participants. We have also the Minister of Egypt, which is going to be the next COP next year in Egypt. And the director of the Green Climate Fund, which is one of the world's largest fund investing in all green industries. And of course, Gordon Brown, who was the Premier Prime Minister of UK, and he's now the WHO Ambassador on Global Health Finance. I had the opportunity to speak with him after the meeting. And of course, we have Rachel Levine, as I said, the US Assistant Secretary for Health. Other than President Biden and Obama, he's like the third highest ranking. And of course, we have Emily from also one of the Green Fund, the Egyptian, and also we have an open discussion. This is a Dr. Peter Dantes from Philippines asking, with all the health calamities, a lot of children in Philippines are suffering a lot of very unusual symptoms. And he asked what could be done as far as this COP is concerned. And also we have the closing remark by the Minister of the Health from UK. So this is a very, from Fiji, it says that They have to recover from extreme weather events and manage the resulting health impacts. So health system and facilities are the main line of defense in protecting the population from the emergency threats. As you know, Fiji is one of the many islands in the Pacific that are suffering because of the high water level, because of the climate. And also from Nepal, as Brother Joe has been there for a long time, and this is also getting be a problem in terms of economic, what the climate change has an impact on Nepal, which is of course dear to us, and of course the birthplace of Buddha. So I had the opportunity to had a few words with Gordon Brown, and he pledged $100 million to help out the developing countries, because in order to really have a successful 1.5 degrees, the developing or developed countries have to help the underdeveloped countries. So this is a pledge of 100 billion, start with a B, US dollar. And of course, I had the opportunity to speak with Levine, who is the Assistant Secretary. And this is another very important health seminar. As you can see, we have Minister of Finance, Minister of Environment and Climate Change from Maldives, which is one of the islands in the Indian Ocean, which is also suffering. This is one of the most beautiful islands. It's a very famous tourist place, but now it's also because of climate change. And this is also, half of the island is now underwater. And of course, we have the Healthcare Without Farm. This is also one of the very important international NGO on the health crisis. And we have Wendy Morton again, the Minister of the Europe and America. And of course, we have, as we saw before, the Minister of Research from Egypt. And on my left is a Lydia. Maybe she's on the convention now, and she's a pharmacist from Hualien Hospital, and now she's working in the Birmingham in England. She also had the pleasure of joining us for the first time to the COP. This is a very important topic, is how to address climate adaptation through strengthening health and protection system. We have many different panels again from all over the world. And this is from Zimbabwe. This is from Bangladesh. This is an important thing I'd like to read to you, because they say the climate crisis is a health threat that continues to grow and increase the health inequalities. Since the Paris Agreement, the race to zero emission is a race to save countless lives. And as we see, the solution to the climate, including sustainable food, clean energy, active transportation, and a resilient health system, all this can directly affect people's health. You know, the air is polluted. Shall we electrify the car, electrify the power that we are using, solar powers, and all these are solutions that are being discussed since day one. But how do we take action? That is the most important thing. And this is also Adaptation Fund. There are many, like the Green Fund, there are many world financial institutions. They are very interested, and this is a good sign that they are investing on the green funds only. They stay away from the fossil fuel and also from the gas and the coal mining. And this is also one of the very important things. I want to jump to the sustainable system, where they're using different models, how they can cut down transportation. Cities like Paris, London, they increase a lot of bicycle lane. They try to reduce the parking in the city, just like what New York City is doing now. If you drive your car to New York City, that you have to pay a lot of tolls and tokens to get into the city. So they are trying to open up more bicycle lane, trying to electrify both the trains and the mass communication, so transportation, so that that will reduce a lot of carbon footprints. This is a very important, I want to spend a few minutes on this one. As you can see, Medicine du Monde, which is the Doctors of the World, it was established in 1989, just like Doctors Without Borders. And their goal, as you see, the mission is to empower excluded people from getting the right to healthcare. And they have 17 chapters in as close as to Japan, but not in Taiwan. This is MDM Spain, what they do over from 2016 to 2019. They have different specific goal, basically to cut down the carbon footprints in the hospitals, in the MDM staff, so that how they can be able to give us a zero carbon footprint with the environmental policy and the practice manual. This is very, very, I think, helpful to both the Taiwan hospitals and maybe to the rest of our Asian country. I would like to share this with the rest of our Tzu Chi hospital. So they have, this is how the environmental can impact our life. Polluted water, and you can see the bad irrigation, community noise, occupational risk in terms of everything, climate change, and all this affect our life and our health. So this is what they do in the strategic work stream. They're trying to have a sustainability management of resources, reduce the greenhouse effect, and also, and they have different scopes on how they can reduce the carbon footprint. I'm going to run over this quickly. So how they do it, different criteria, and they have all these different measurements, data, and through international development, social inclusion, and advocacy and campaign, they're able to help. And this is what they're trying to cut down on the emission. They started in 2016, which is the baseline, and up to 2017, as you can see, the green arrows, meaning that they have been able to cut down the carbon footprint from 51% to 45%, not a whole lot more, but that adds up to a lot. So there's no result in 2018 because of the pandemic. So the action plan in 2016 all the way to 2019, as you can see, they have a drastic change in be able to cut down the carbon footprint. And they're able to reduce by 2020 overall 65% of what their target goal is. So compared to 2016 to 2020. And as you can see, this is a big change. The person that represents NDM is Javier Ramirez Pilaro. We had a very deep conversation with him, and he's willing and able to even travel to Taiwan to help us evaluate our participation. Maybe we could, Tzu Chi can join force with him too. So that's him. And this is the team from the Europe, as Brother Joe mentioned, Tiffany, Ashley, and Lydia's sister, and Mei Fong and Han from Germany, and Jimmy, and I also met a Malaysian lawyer who's studying now in Oxford. I'm going to jump over this, and this is what we have all together 12 press conferences. As we just mentioned, Tzu Chi only can be an observer, not a participant. But we're able to negotiate and have 10 press conferences. And the person on the right, as Dr. Kenneth Liao, was able to represent Tzu Chi on the Interfaith Reflections, which is on the second last day of the convention.
We can't hear the video, Dr. Kenneth.
Brother Liao, Dr. Liao, we can't hear the video sound.
Dr. Liao, you need to turn on the volume from, right, and you cannot mute. Oh, I see that you're not muted either. You had to share.
Sound. I think she didn't, Dr. Kenneth, you didn't share the sound.
Dr. Liao, when you share screen, there is a button you need to click that will allow you to share the sound. So you might have to quit out of share screen and then do it again. When you click on share screen, on the bottom left, there is a share sound checkbox.
Yeah, you sure. And then you have to.
We have seen a sharp increases in both humanitarian, medical aids and assistance in times of drought, floods, wildfires, and other weather calamities. This is with the worsening food security, insecurity, and increase in the infectious diseases, all related to the climate change. As a Buddhist organization, our philosophy at Tzu Chi is to build upon the foundation of loving kindness and compassion. And we set up our mission to relieve the suffering of all sentient beings, including creatures in the world. We are very pleased at COP26 that 104 countries worldwide, maybe the number is more now, including the EU and US, that have agreed to cut methane emission by 30%. In order for countries to reach this within such a short frame of time, so how? As Buddhists, we strive to walk on Bodhisattva path. In Sanskrit, Buddha means the enlightened one, and a depiction of having compassion and wisdom to comfort and safeguard our world that we all reside on. We cannot allow all sentient beings, including living creatures, to be harmed to satisfy human desire, including eating, of course, which is what is the big topic now. According to the United Nations of Food and Agriculture Organization statistics from 2018, every day, every second, 2,256 animals are being slaughtered. In a day, that translates to over 220 millions. And if you go there to a year, it means over 80.6 billion animals are being slaughtered. While a plant-based diet is ingrained in our principles, it becomes Tzu Chi's mission to promote a plant-based diet globally, from developed countries like UK, USA, Singapore, to developing countries like Mozambique, Lesotho, and so on. we have been successful in promoting the plant-based diet by integrating faith-based compassion and other values to the scientific facts of climate change. And faith can be a very powerful key driver in transforming consumption habits and educating people in the benefits of plant-based diet in terms of relation to the religion and the sustainability values. 实际 role in encouraging personal consumption transformation towards more compassion and sustainable diet have also been successful in many population sectors, from children, from adults to older population. And the cultivation of the faith values is very important. My name is So this is part of the other participants during the conference. So I'm going to take you to the green zone where the exhibits are showing. As you can see, we talk about food, but the food waste effect has been one of the largest contributing to also the greenhouse gases. This is right in front of the green zone. As you can see, all the transportation in Glasgow, they are all electric buses. So even like the Indiana race car is also completely electrified. And this is a very interesting Eurofest, and it's called Climate Crimes, how people commit crime by doing a lot of different things in climate changes. And as you can see, the mission is to set up annual environmental film in countries to showcase what is the effect of climate change. This is part of the UK system where they're trying to use the electric train. And this is also part of the food chain that you can see by just going plant-based diet, and you can add 17 years of the healthy human life on Earth. This is part of the puzzle of the better planet life by cutting waste from food waste. And this is how, by eating pastas and all the plant-based diet, you can cut down 31% of the greenhouse emission. And there are a lot of different recipes, but even interesting enough, even the toothbrush are made from renewable cellulose and from the sustainable forest. And this is so-called carbon neutral toothbrushes, which I'm going to try to get them and maybe give it to each and every one of you when it's become available in the market. As you can see, compare the impact of our vegan raw burgers to the beer burger, and we can see we cut down 94% of the carbon emission, 95% of the land use, and 77% of the water usage. We sacrifice nothing. The burger butchers say we sacrifice nothing. And there are many different cookbooks available during the at the green zone, and how we can change the world by changing what's on your plate. As you can see, the food waste contribute to one of the biggest greenhouse effects. There are different cookbooks. This is an interesting booth that I want to share with you. I came across Microsoft, and I was able to get in touch and talk with Andrew Quinn, who is the global director of the industry digital strategy at Microsoft. What they offer to us, which I think might be helpful in the Sis Su Ching mission, they have able to provide rural broadband gap. Now they provide free internet to remote areas as far as like Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and they also have a Zyho hub. They also have different mission control for the road, and all this they have hires these are all the things that we can be able to utilize once I get all the information together and share with all of you. A greener world needs a plan, and the plan is to reduce 1.5C. So we should shop around for greener choices and maybe have like a hype up sports car, which is all electrified, forklift, a Ford Mustang electric car, which is of course available. And again, this is the European team. I was able to meet App and the different people. So this is interesting. This is the important message from the world children. At this cup, as you can see, this is a 14-year-old student from Taiwan. He said, "Dear President," of course, she addressed this to the Taiwan presidents, "climate change is going more and more worse. We must take some more action right now to save our country, not just talking and doing nothing." So basically, that's really a shot on the arm. And this is also another 14-year-old from Taiwan. Learning climate crisis is important to everyone. So let us work together right now. So I guess part of the problem is we are not able to work together. And that's also what is from a 14-year-old kid. And at the end, conclusion of the 14th day, this is at the Oxford law student from Malaysia that I had a picture taken, and she was at the convention. This lady is a minority from the Canada where their homes are being deforested and they are forced out of their tribe and they have nowhere to go. So they make a pledge during the convention. This is a lady from Maldives, like I just mentioned. Half of the island is underwater. And you can see during the, even at the convention, you can see protest signs like this. Another one. You can also see protests right outside the convention. These are people lying on the very cold floor, protesting about climate chaos and climate death. This is right outside the convention. And at the end of the convention, we had the privilege, a few of us, to travel to Edinburgh, which is an hour on a train right away from Glasgow. And Kang En Sister Linen, who is on the conference now for her hospitality. Edinburgh is the capital of Scotland. This is a very beautiful country. You have mountains, you have water, you have castle. As you know, this is the birthplace of Harry Potter. And of course, the famous Edinburgh Castle, we were able to, we didn't go in there because it's a big castle. This is the outside. And this is a famous dog that safeguard the city. And they put a statue on him. All the buildings, this is a UNESCO city. So a lot of buildings are very historical. This is the trail to where Queen Elizabeth would stay. It's called the Royal Mile. This is one of the oldest bar in Edinburgh. And you can see beautiful castles. And this is the street scene. And we also had the pleasure of having a little cultural tour on the Scottish National Gallery on Sunday. These are all the paintings, oil paintings from the 1890s to the over 100, 200 years. These are some of the very famous paintings. This is one of the very famous painting about Scotland, where they represent the spirit of the Highlanders. As you know, Scotland is one of the few countries that was not invaded by Germany during the Second World War. You can see this is a very famous street scene. Of course, Scotland is famous for whiskey. Of course, we don't go in there. We just stay on the outside. And there are many haunted houses. This is one of the witches' well, very famous one. And you can see this is a very interesting clock made from Glasgow, but it's in the Edinburgh Museum. This is a very famous church with all the tinted glasses. And as you can see, Edinburgh has parks and beautiful fall weather. And this is very important because I need to mention, because of Sister Linan, who is in charge of the Edinburgh section, there are not many volunteers, but it was on the Sunday where a lot of leaves are on the ground and a lot of senior people are not able to walk through. So on the Sunday, she gathered just some of the volunteers to go to do the street cleaning. And we have young, old, and this is Sister Linan on the right. And we have Loretta, who is just got a PhD from University of Edinburgh, Sister Jing Yi and her son. And as you can see, I also participated in the street cleaning, and we lined them up. And at the end, we went to Sister Linan's house to say some prayers and share the thoughts together. So what's next?
Hello， 大家早上好。
Good morning。
今天是课的第11天，也就是倒数最后第2天。那我们今天呢要进去会场，那我们就有干嘛呢 ，Tiffany？
我们今天有一场记者会，然后是关于宗教合作。
对，那我们今天就来让大家看看慈济团队都在做什么。等一下见喽，
拜拜。
师伯今天要代表慈济要讲宗教对于气候变迁大会的一些回馈，你紧张吗？
是有点紧张，因为这是任务重大，希望实际以宗教角度怎么切入这次高峰会议。那当然主要就是说能够减到1.5C 的话目前还在努力中。可是我们实际怎么以跨宗教，以一个宗教团体能够结合推素推环保，然后再以绿化的意愿。以跟大家来分享，希望能够引起大家共鸣，能够更共知、共事、共行。
So why do you think press conferences is so important for us?
Well, there's several reasons why press conferences are so important for us. The most important is that we need to be active participants in the conversation on climate change. And through press conferences, we are able to invite not just Tzu but all of our partners and guest speakers as well to discuss important issues surrounding the climate change and the climate change conference.
那我们现在在的地方呢，其实就是一个recharge launch， 那就是可以让我们充手机的地方。那我们慈济的团队呢，其实在这个 conference 很常都会分开，因为我们都会有参加不同的会议。像是今天 actually 我就是在这个地方，因为我等一下有另外一个活动。那 Tiffany 呢，则是在我们的记者会上主持，所以大家可以来看一下我们记者会的画面。好，那我们这里可以看到 Tiffany 怎么跑到荧幕里面去了呢？那其实她现在是在记者会的现场，然后我在另外一个地方就可以透过COP26的平台，然后去看现场直播。那我们就祝 Tiffany 跟记者会一切顺利。
最重要另外一点就是想说，去找一下看有没有一些可以合作的伙伴啊，比如说在这里我们可以怎样跟他们合作。结果昨天找到一个，就是他是用那个卡片气候变迁的用游戏的方式， 来怎样带去学校，然后带动。然后今天呢，我们又找到一个要跟我们一起做环保了，他是愿意做我们的志工。
好，我是英国慈济志工雨洁。第一次参加这么多 security guard 的会议，然后就是进来还要过安检。那但是看到这么多人就是一起为气候变迁而努力而发生，是觉得很感动。
那听说这次你第2次参加 COP， 那跟第1次有什么不一样呢？
觉得第2次感觉就是很多的partners 都有跟我们团队一起来对谈，然后记者会等等都有很多的互动。我觉得联合国团队这几年的努力，按赞。
Hello 大家
Hello
又是我们 AT 的 COP， 那这支影片呢是我们针对 COP 的最后一支影片了。那我们很感恩这次就是有机会可以参与和学习。
那我们也很感恩，就是我们的后制团队，就是他们真的很努力，然后每天都做到很晚这样子，然后就感恩 Sarah 善友，然后还有资讯处的玉梅，然后还有公传处的文怡跟团队，然后还有就是文史处的经验跟团队，就是很感恩大家的就是帮忙，然后还有让这个影片看起来美美的。
没错，那我们另外也非常想要感恩，就是全球慈济家人这55年来在社区生根，为环境、为气候努力。因为有你们的这些努力呢，我们才有办法在国际平台代表慈济和大家分享我们很扎实的内容，然后也跟其他组织分享慈济针对气候变迁做出很多很棒的事情。
很感恩大家，那也很感恩大家观众朋友一起来跟我们 explore COP 这样子，那也听到很多 feedback， 然后很感恩大家对我们的一些支持。
没错。那我们这里呢，另外也想要跟大家做一下 COP 的结语，因为像今天已经闭幕，那以下有几个重点，我们是希望可以跟大家复习的。那首先第一个呢，就是我们在这2个星期的大会中，有听到很多已发展国家其实都承诺想要给发展中的国家很多的资金来去协助他们面对一些气候变迁所需要解决的问题。
那我们也有100多个国家，他们已经承诺在2030年之前结束砍伐森林。
没错，那再来第3个重要的呢，就是有40几个国家都承诺在2040年以前呢，要放弃煤炭的使用。那这是一个非常棒的开始。
那其实 COP26 已经圆满结束，但是这不表示就是已经结束，而是一个开始而已。因为现在的承诺就是需要不只是政府、联合国，但是也是需要大家一起来努力的。
对，那其实，在大会呢，各国提出承诺以后，科学家和各个学者还是发现到说，温度在2030年以前还是会上升到2.7摄氏度。那这是一个非常不好的现象，因为它会造成超过10亿人比较严重的影响。
那我们也可以了解说，我们真的需要在1.5度以下。那怎么做起？就是大家要看自己的碳排放量，然后去做一些近零碳排的一些动作。
对，那我们就希望说，大家可以在这2个星期这样和我们参加 COP 之后呢，可以去反思和检视你现在的生活方式，去想说你生活哪一些点点滴滴、一些小细节是可以改变的。那这些改变呢，其实都可以让你为地球尽一份心力，也可以为我们大家的未来努力。
对，没错。那我们就是我们也要准备解散了，要回去自己的国家了。那回去以后呢，我们会进行一场 live， 然后可以跟大家一起分享。想要问的问题都可以再问这样子，然后所以就是请大家敬请期待，然后我们会把资讯再 po 在网上让大家来看。
对，那就谢谢这2个星期大家对 AT 的 COP 还有慈济团队在联合国大会的支持。那也希望大家可以持续关注这些社会很重要的国际议题。那我们就下次再见喽，
拜拜。
Okay, so I guess that sums up to what we have established, and the conclusion is, as we said, most of the developed countries pledge to increase the money to help developing countries. Thank you very much for the time. I apologize for the internet disruption. So I'm not sure if there's any more Q&A session. If not, you can email me, reach out me, and then we can discuss further on further issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Liao. Thank you. Wonderful to hear your contribution to this COP, and also seeing the very new, I think it was they're trying this video vlog to share with the world. Just a couple questions. Did the vlog, was the dog barking in the vlog, or was it the dog barking around your house? That was something that...
I think the dog is barking someone who is participating today. It's definitely not on the vlog.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay. No. Just wanted to make sure.
Somebody forgot to unmute, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Because it was so real. It was so real that it seems like the dog was at the COP too. And it's very possible because we need all creatures. All creatures are sharing this planet. Okay. Thank you. I'm not sure if we're going to have time for the QA, but as Dr. Liao said, that this is a continuing topic. And I think this is your clinic. This is your clinic, or this is your home?
Yeah, this is my clinic here. Sorry, I just finished up my last patient.
Okay.
That's why everything was not prepared well. Sorry.
No, it was prepared fine. Just make sure that you pull the right tooth. But all the best wishes to the patient that had just come by, because you're probably all thinking about the COP. Let me ask you, when you're away, what happened to your patients? Did they also follow you on your trip to Glasgow, or are they just waiting you to quickly come back because their teeth need to be looked at?
Yeah, I have my other professional friends to cover for my emergencies, and the office is open with my office manager. So with the internet and everything, I'm able to commute with the patient if necessary. So I didn't leave the patient unattended. Yeah, but they are very happy and proud that I represent Sis Ji for the COP26. So I was able to introduce Sis Ji also to my patients here when I get a chance.
Absolutely. I've always heard that dentist is the best job to promote Sis Ji, because they can't talk. They can only listen to you while you're operating on their while you're checking their teeth. So that's
and if they don't listen, I don't give them anesthesia. So they better listen.
I'm not sure if that's the best practice that Master will want you to do. Master always tells us that treating others' pain is our pain. We don't want too much pain, so please do give them the anesthesia. But thank you so much, and especially this time, I think there was Dr. Lin going as well. And on the World Health Organization part, it's very important to have professional medical professionals participating and sharing what we can do in that particular part. So I think Dr. Lin also shared with us as well about many things that we could do. So once again, Dr. Liao, and for your participation and for your contribution. If there's more questions, we're open to one question. How about that? One question, and then we'll let you off because it's 7 p.m. You haven't had your dinner. So let's have one question. Anybody? We're a shy bunch because they heard that you don't use anesthesia, so they don't want to talk.
Like I said, there is a link that we can go to Sis Ji Center, where all the other 360 programs and the blog that you can go on the YouTube to browse yourself. But there's any question, you can contact Joe, or Joe can contact me. Thank you very much for your participation and for your patience. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Liao. Thank you. And I hope the weather in New York gets better, and I hope that everything is smooth from this point on. And we look forward to your next participation, okay, on the COP27 or the future COP. Thank you. Now we have everybody beginning to turn on their video to share with you that they are really delighted. And they don't.
Thank you.
They don't show their teeth because they're afraid that you're gonna run to them and pull them off. Okay. Show your teeth.
Thank you, Sis Ji. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Liao. Doctor, if it's okay later, we'll try to get the videos and the link from doctors, and we can share it to our global Dharma family. Very
Okay.
great.
Thank you very much. Sorry for the hiccup. Sorry for the hiccup.
It's okay. It's all fine, brother. We hope to hear more from Dr. Liao. We are sure there are more.
Thank you.
From Dr. Liao and the family. We have earlier heard from the daughter-in-law, so we look forward to more sharings from the family.
Thank you. Thank you.
Maybe let us take a group pictures. I'm sure everyone's we are ready. Everyone switch on the video. Sister Epi or Sister Wai will take the pictures now. Okay, as we are taking the videos, Kan Brother Joe and Brother Liao for a very heartwarming and wisdom sharing. A lot of reminders like since the morning, Brother Joe. On this, really need to discern what is the phantom city and what's not. I'm still thinking about that. Just trust the teachers. We follow closely to the teachers and will not be lost. To stay guided, not to be separated from the master, from the Dharma and all our Dharma families. All of us stay connected together. We are so glad to hear from Dr. Liao. In fact, like Brother Joe said, it's not the end. There will be more. Coming Saturday, let's look forward. We have already seen the sharer. Sister Tiffany, she will be the one sharing. Just now, I think Brother Liao has already shared one of the MC. There are two. One is Sister Ashley and the other one Sister Tiffany.
Right.
Sister Tiffany will be the one sharing next Saturday with Brother Joe. We'll continue the session next Saturday on this COP26. And of course, definitely, we are very grateful to all the listeners on board who have been who stayed with us since very early. I think 5:20 until now. Very grateful to all of you. We understand that many are rushing off for the next activity, be it recycling or community visits starting in Malaysia here. Shalom, we have this local community visiting for the funds, the aid that they are needed, and also some going for whatever session. Everyone stay safe in whichever country we are in. The pandemic is still lingering around. Okay, the pictures taken now. Okay, hope that each of us could sustain the Dharma joy and take in another piece of Dharma Master and find another to our life. Let us invite Brother Joe to lead us in making 3 vows to the Buddha and Dharma Master as we depart to apply all these wonderful teachings in our everyday life. Let us pay our respects to our teachers of life universal truth. Palms together. First vow. Second vow. Third vow. And about our beloved Master who could join us today. Karen, brothers and sisters. See everyone next week. Session on Friday as well.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Dr. Liao.
Bye-bye, Dr. Liao. Bye-bye.
Stay connected.
Thank you, Sister Su Ching. Thank you. Bye-bye.